Hey everybody, installing a trailer hitch on your Nissan Leaf can take you to some really cool places like camping, biking, and even towing a U-Haul trailer just about anywhere in North America. Let's go ahead and break down that install. You'll need the tools seen here to complete this installation. To get things started, we're going to remove this large underbody panel covering the rear half of the vehicle. We found that there are 12 attachment points. There are 7 10mm bolts and 5 push fasteners, and we'll show you where those are at now. From the driver's side to the middle, we've got one starting here, 2, 3, and 4. From the middle to the passenger side, we've got 2 more, one here and one here. And very last, we've got one in the back, right about in the middle. All right, now we've got a series of push clips to remove, starting at the driver's side middle. We've got one here, got one here on the passenger side frame rail, towards the driver middle here, and very last on the driver's side frame rail here. All right, to remove these push clip fasteners, we're gonna use a flathead screwdriver. You can use a trim panel tool or whatever's easiest for you at home. All right, after removing the 7 10mm and the 5 push clips, we actually found 2 more 10mm bolts here and here that do need to be removed as well. We're gonna use our 10mm socket to remove those. Now that we've removed all those series of fasteners, we're ready to remove this complete underbody panel. It is tucked up a little bit behind the fascia, so we're just gonna reach underneath and try to pull it out. We can set it aside. All right, so now we want to start prepping our frame rails for the hitch installation, and we notice there are 6 attachment points. So our 3 attachment points on the passenger side are going to be this front hole here, this middle one. We are not going to use these 3. The third hole is actually up here on the side, and the weld nut here on the side frame rail. Our driver's side frame rail, our 3 attachment points are this hole here, second one here, and actually the bumper support flange here in the back, we've got a hole in the back as well. So now we're ready to fish in our bolts on the driver's side frame rail using the forward 2 attachment holes pointed out earlier. They gave us an extra long fish wire. We want to make sure to retain it throughout our entire installation. They only gave us 1, so we're going to make sure to use it for all 4 bolts that will be fish wired in the frame. So we have our 3/8 hex bolt, our spacer block, and our serrated washer. All right, so we're going to bring in our fish wire through the rearmost attachment hole to our access hole here by this spring. All right, with our fish wire in place, we're going to go ahead and put one component through the access hole at a time. So we're going to start with our spacer block. And these are a pretty tight fit. We found that it was extremely helpful to put our serrated washer on the bolt as we push it into the frame. So go ahead and put your washer on the bolt before pushing it in and get it to pull out. Okay, now we can remove our fish wire so we can do our second bolt. Our second attachment point is here. We're going to use our same access hole and fish wire the fish wire in. Okay, now again we're going to remove our fish wire from our second driver's side attachment point so we can use it on the passenger side. All right, so we're going to do our rearmost attachment point on the passenger side first. So that'll be this one here, coming up to our access hole, again, right by the spring. Last, we're going to remove our fish wire from the last fished bolt. And we'll make sure those are nice and sturdy when we install the hitch. Okay, now that we have our 4 fish wire attachment points, we're ready to put our hitch into place. Keep in mind, since we only had 1 fish wire, these bolts can just be pushed right back into the frame. So you want to be very careful when you put that hitch into place. Today we're going to use our U-Haul exclusive hitch jack. Since you probably don't have one of these at home, we do recommend getting a second set of hands, as this hitch is awkward and we want to be very careful with those attachment points. Now we're going to loosely install our 9/16 hex nut as well as the flat washers on our 4 attachment points that we installed with the Fishwire. We only want to install these loosely as we need a little bit of wiggle room for our last 2 attachment points. Okay, we're going to start with our forward attachment point by putting our washer on, kind of holding it in place, being careful not to push the bolt all the way in. Okay, we're going to leave it loose and just leave it loose as well. All right, so we spoke to it earlier, but we have an attachment point on the driver's side, which is going to be right here against this bumper support flange. For that, we need some hardware. We've got a 9/16 bolt with 2 washers and a 9/16 nut that'll secure it. All right, so starting with our bolt, we're going to add our flat washer. We're going to put it right through that point. We're going to add our flat washer and nut to the opposite side. Finally, we're going to put in our last attachment point, which is on the side of the passenger side frame rail. We've got our 3/4 inch bolt, our flat washer, and our spring lock washer. Okay, now that we've got our 6 attachment points in place, we're going to go ahead and go back and torque everything down to manufacturer specifications. You can find those details in the link below. Okay, we've gone ahead and marked out our dimensions for the underbody trim. This panel is going to be cut just along these attachment points following the tape line. To do so, we're going to use a pair of sheet metal shears. You can use a die grinder or a air saw, whatever's available to you. Okay, now that we have our underbody panel trimmed, we're going to go ahead and reinstall it. It may help to insert one of the bolts once you get it into place to kind of hold it while you get your rest of your attachment points into place. All right, with our hitch installed and our vehicle pulled onto level ground, we wanted to give you some important measurements. This is a 2-inch receiver. From the pinhole to the edge of the bumper is 5 inches. And from the top of the receiver tube to level ground is 11 3/4 inches. This will help you determine the length, rise, or drop of some of your hitch accessories like a bike rack or a cargo carrier. If you have any questions about the products seen in this video, or if you'd like to schedule an installation with the U-Haul Hitch Professional, visit us online today at uhaulhitches.com.